What if the world's most feared villain isn't the real danger, and his only ally was a chaotic shapeshifter? Stay tuned as we dive into the 2023 movie Nimona. The movie opens up with a voice telling the story of a kingdom that lived in peace, until a giant monster arrived and began laying waste to the land. But a mighty warrior named Glorth was able to drive the monster away, then created an order of knights to protect the kingdom for future generations. 1,000 years later, the kingdom has transformed into a major city, and the next generation of heroes are set to be knighted. The underdog is Ballister Boldheart, who does not come from any previous bloodline of knights, but was instead a scrappy kid from the streets who grew up wanting to defend the kingdom, despite having the public opinions being against him. On the other hand, we also got to see Ballister's friend Ambrosius, who turns out to be loved by everyone as he is the direct descendant of Glorth. At the dressing room, Ballister was handed his sword, where he noticed that there was something different about it, but before he could speak, their director walks in, as she gives them a speech, before they all ride out with their horses for the ceremony. At the ceremony, Ambrosius, who was the direct descendant of Glorth, was first knighted, before Ballister was called up for his big moment. As Ballister knelt down, Queen Valoran expresses that anyone can wield a sword and become a hero like Ballister. After a brief moment of silence, the crowd finally cheers for him, leaving Ballister filled with joyful emotions, but the joy doesn't last for long as Ballister's sword hilt opens, firing out a laser beam which kills the queen instantly. Seeing this, Ambrosius cuts off Ballister's arm, and he is immediately framed a murderer. Ballister, who had no explanation to what had happened, decided to flee from the scene, as all knights chased after him. After a dark screen, we are then been introduced to a girl called Nimona who sees Ballister's photo on the news and smiles, while calling him perfect. The scene cuts back to Ballister, who was now hiding in an abandoned building where he creates a robotic arm for himself, but soon hears a knock at his door. He arms himself with a broken bottle and goes to check who it was. It turns out to be Nimona, who shows up at his place and offers to be his sidekick since she thinks he is evil for killing the queen, but Ballister refused as he narrates that he was set up and is going to clear his name. Nimona tells him that this will only get him arrested.
Have fun getting arrested.
I'm not gonna get
Ballister
arrested.
is eventually arrested, as he is then visited by the director. He tried talking to her, but she paid no attention to him, as she then tells him that he's going to rot in prison for killing the queen before she leaves the prison. Nimona shows up moments later to help Ballister break out of prison. While he tries to sneak his way out, Nimona doesn't care as she keeps on breaking things. They are eventually spotted by other knights, including Ambrosius, who chased after them. The duo runs into a room with no exit. Having no other options left, Nimona tells Ballister not to freak out as she reveals her shapeshifting abilities. Nimona turns into multiple animals, helping them escape. Unfortunately, Ballister gets hit on the head, which caused him to lose consciousness, as they both are now branded wanted fugitives. Nimona returns Ballister back to his hideout, but he is partially freaked out by her powers and calls her a monster, which Nimona hates. Ballister reluctantly takes his words back, as he asked her the reason why she chose to help him. Nimona then replies that she is lonely and hated just like him. Ballister, seeing this, then asked for her help in clearing his name, and in return, she get to become his sidekick. On the other hand, Todd and the other knights scour the streets looking for Nimona and Ballister, while Ambrosius has his own suspicions of what is really going on. The duo makes their way to the subway station, where they came across some knights looking for them, in order for Ballister not to be caught. Nimona shapeshifts into Ballister as she lures the knights away, who starts to chase her thinking she's Ballister. She returns as a rat as the both then boarded a train, unbeknownst to them that they have being captured by a CCTV camera. On the train, Ballister tries to ask Nimona about her backstory, but she makes up a tale about how she threw a coin into a wishing well before ending on a sarcastic note. Meanwhile, Ambrosius manages to track them down with footage from the subway, and the knights go after them again. The duo has reached their destination, where they are looking for Torres, the guy who had given Ballister his sword. Nimona transforms into a little boy to avoid being seen by the knights as she goes over to capture Torres, while Ballister hides out in a car while he waits for her. The two are eventually seen by the knights and Ambrosius, who had a clear shot on Ballister but refused to shoot. Nimona then throws Torres into the trunk of the car as they make their escape, but Todd and the other knights who had caught up to their location shoots at their car. The duo eventually lands, as Ballister stops to help Nimona pull out an arrow off her leg and asks if shapeshifting hurts. She then explains that it hurts more when she doesn't do it. With Diego waking up, the two interrogate him, and he takes out his phone to reveal he was in the armory, messing around with Ballister's armor when he had to hide, revealing that the director had swapped Ballister's sword with the one that he had that very day at the ceremony. Ballister is shocked at the betrayal, but Nimona vows to help him confront her. The two meets with Ambrosius, who was with director, as Ballister tells Ambrosius that the director is the one who had killed the queen. Just as he tries to pull out Torres' phone to reveal the proof, the director has Todd shoot the phone. The knights surround Nimona and Ballister, with Ambrosius trying to plead with Ballister to turn himself in. Filled with rage, Ballister then orders Nimona to show them what she can do, and she gleefully begins to turn into giant animals again to fight off the guards. Todd catches Ballister and starts beating on him. Nimona noticed and charges to his rescue, only for her to get trapped in an electric net. She then grows into a gigantic dragon that takes out the knights once more. A bus starts hurtling toward a little girl, when Nimona saves her, but just as she tries to talk to the girl in the form of someone her age, the little girl picks up a sword and points it at Nimona, calling her a monster, before Ballister then swoops in to get her out of there. When they return home, Nimona expresses how much it hurts when people sees her as a monster. Ballister then sympathizes with her now that everyone also seems to see him as a villain. After a brief quiet moment, Ballister comes up with a plan on how to expose the director. The next day, Nimona appears in the director's office in the form of Ambrosius, as she confronts the director asking if she really did frame Ballister. The director then admits to this, as she opens up that she's responsible for the queen's death, and how she has never agreed with the queen on making someone who does not come from a lineage of knights a knight. The director then opens the drawer where she kept Ballister's real sword and runs it through Ambrosius' stomach. Nimona then proceeds to die dramatically, revealing that it was actually her in disguise, and Ballister has been recorded her confession all along, as they both then escaped through the balcony. Reaching home, the duo then uploads the video to the internet for the entire kingdom to see, which lead to everyone questioning who the real villain is. Meanwhile, Ambrosius sees the video and then goes over to arrest the director, but she quickly turns things around as she shows him an old scroll that is seemingly the answer to everything. Back to Nimona and Ballister, who celebrates their victory, and was watching a movie when Nimona sleeps off. Ballister gets a message from Ambrosius to meet in private. They two meets at a tavern where Ambrosius shows Ballister the scroll that the director had showed him. It turns out that the scroll shows the monster that Glorith fought, which turns out to be Nimona. Ambrosius then accuses her of manipulating Ballister for revenge against everyone who followed Glorith, but he insists that she is good. Their attention is instantly taken into the news, where the director spins the story around to make it look like Nimona disguised herself as her, just to frame the director for killing the queen. This causes more paranoia among the people, since they feel they cannot even trust their loved ones. Ballister then returns home to ask Nimona if she's really the creature in the scroll. While she tries to explain herself, Ballister then says that she's truly a monster. This hurts Nimona so bad as she runs away, coming upon a familiar spot, as she flashback to 1,000 years earlier when Nimona was much younger. While trying to find company in her many animal forms, she came across another little girl, Charlotte Aldrich, closer to her age, and the both became best friends. The girl even admired Nimona's shapeshifting abilities, but one day as the were-playing Nimona transforms into a bear, which Charlotte parents and the villagers saw and charged at her with pitchforks and torches while calling her a monster. Nimona, who was attacked, then turns into predatory animals to fight them off, but was shocked when her friend, who was then revealed to be the Glorith, also points a sword towards her, calling her a monster. The emotions overwhelm Nimona to the point where she becomes something horrible. Nimona grows into a gigantic black shadowy entity that begins stomping into the kingdom. The other knights, led by Todd, start to go after her, but Todd chickens out and crashes into a billboard. Meanwhile, Ballister, who knows it's Nimona, runs after her. The director prepares her own retaliation against Nimona by positioning a large cannon which had the power to wipe out half of the city. After Nimona is brought down briefly by the knights, she comes upon Glorith's statue, which was wielding a sword, and opens her chest, exposing her heart and preparing to run herself through the sword, since everyone wants her dead anyway. But Ballister arrives and stops her, telling her he sees her for who she really is, with the whole kingdom watching the scene. Nimona returns to her human form and tearfully hugs Ballister. The director, who sees this as an opportunity to kill Nimona, demands for the cannon to be fired, but Ambrosius refuses her orders as he tries to talk her out of it, but she shoots laser at him and the other knights. As she prepares to fire the cannon herself. Seeing this, Nimona transforms into a phoenix-like creature and flies toward it just as it fires, killing the director and seemingly Nimona herself. Sometime later, the knights begin to repair the kingdom while everyone now views Nimona as a hero, even Todd. Ballister returns home and seems to miss Nimona. When he hears a pounding sound at the door, just like when she first showed up at his house, but he finds nobody outside. A pink flash appears behind him and he hears Nimona's voice that calls out to him. As the movie ends. Thanks for watching, guys, and please don't be afraid to subscribe, as free, and when you do so, don't forget to turn on the notification button. Make sure you like and comment what you think about the movie. See you in the next one and have a nice day. Bye.